Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Shagun Oduolowu, and this is the man that we just saw. This is the man that we braved the rain to come and see. This is the one and only Michael Bivins. Let's give him a round of applause, please.
I know some people are gonna go to the party, but I just want to say something as a film director. You know, this project took about 4 or 5 years in the making, and we did it to excellence in terms of the picture, the sound, and I just realized I was sitting up top with the gentleman playing it, but the file that you guys were watching is something that you look at in a cell phone. And I know there was other films that were screened here, and they were in the highest quality, which is called a DCI or DCP, and mine was in the MP4. So as I was watching it, I'm such a lover of music. It's like when y'all come to our concert, we want to make sure everything is right, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong, and I heard that they loaded up the wrong file. So I just want to tell you thank you for fighting through some of that to hear some of the conversation. But I wish you could have heard the music the way it's in the documentary, the real way, because it gives you the soul of the conversation, more so than listening to things going up and down. So thank y'all for sitting through it.
But that's also the beauty of God, right? Because now we have a reason to go watch it again the way Mike intended. So we will make sure that we do that. The thing, though, that you just bring up is interesting because your ears are different, right? You hear things, you see things differently. Watching you on this screen and your life, you are Boston's own. What was the reason to do this now? Why make a documentary? Why debut it on your birthday? Why now?
Well, I think my redirection, I was on my way thinking I was going to the NBA just like anybody else, and you couldn't tell me ish with that rock. I thought I owned that ball.
Wait, you were that nice?
I mean, I thought I was pretty good. And I realized, you know, being friends with Bobby and Ricky, and as good as they were as singers and dancers and performers, you know, I used to just laugh at them, you know, while they were doing that, and then they would look up to me playing ball. And I guess through our friendship, I just realized that, you know, my mom always used to always tell me, you know, 1 out of a million make it out of the hood and make it to the pros. And I was fighting against what was going on around me, talent shows, the girls, and all of the fun stuff. And I realized if I just let it go and let it flow and just go the way God wanted me to go, and it really ended up in a moment where me and my mom, we had a moment. We were signing our first contract, and it was for $500, right? And everybody else was at the table jumping up, yo, I'm gonna buy my mom a house and a car and some furniture. You know, we didn't know the value of 500. That was a lot back then. And then I just got up out the table and I walked out. And she grabbed her purse, because she keep her purse wherever she going, and she walked out after me. And she was like, where you going? I said, I'm not gonna sign that. She said, what do you mean you're not gonna sign it? All of your friends are in there signing and the parents are here. And I was like, Ma, if I sign that, I ain't gonna play no ball. She said, I'll buy you a lot of damn balls, but you gonna sign that paperwork, right? And she looked at me, she said, listen, don't you turn down no money. Don't you turn down being with your friends. You fix your face, you go in there, you sign that contract. And I'll tell your managers to make sure y'all play basketball.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. The power of moms, right? Moms know best. You know, I grew up with your music like so many people in the audience, and you start the documentary with Jay-Z in your hometown, in the city that you're from, acknowledging you. And this might just be the petty in me, because I get petty from time to time. Do you feel that you are shown the respect? Because Jay made the blueprint, but you are the blueprint that so many of these moguls copied. Do you feel that you get the respect you deserve? Because we're going to give it to you on this stage tonight. I just want to know if you feel that you get it.
Truthfully?
Absolutely truthfully, just us talking.
I guess I feel as though I helped him understand what not to do. And
why are you going to get deep? I'm trying to be petty.
I'm telling you the petty. I think I helped him understand what not to do. That's why they was able to get on the Forbes. See, when you look at somebody else's mistake, you know which way not to go, right? And I think I was one of the chosen ones, younger, to sit in the room where the deal was being made. And I gave that to my artists. That's why Boyz II Men went from unwanted to the biggest selling group in R&B history right now. And ABC never having someone take money from them, doing a trust fund, which is not even heard of. I don't even know any other young black kid that actually said they had a trust fund in the music business. And that's like law. You got to do that, right? And when I look at everybody, you know, we all have our different talents. But I think what I did is I broke a record. You know, End of the Road was a record by Elvis in 1958. And we broke that record, 13 weeks, #1, because of a song that I heard that I thought they should perform. And I felt as though my success probably should never be compared to somebody else's success. So I never looked at it like they're not talking about me, they're forgetting about me. I just looked at it like, man, I'm living my best life. I'm in New Edition. You know, I'm in Biv DeVoe. You know, I created a production company that went into a 50-50 joint venture. And I think my old general manager said, Deidre, you here? There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Deidre Tate. And she held out everything down for me. She's with her family in the New York office. I just think we were ahead of our time. And, you know, when I see Puff Daddy or Jermaine or Dr. Dre or any of my peers, right, I look at them and they come straight up to me and they go, yo, bro, man, real talk, you inspired me. You know, I watched you and, you know, in your moves and the way you got down, and you helped me know what to do and what not to do. And that night at the Garden, I'm with my man Trav. I don't know where Trav at. We at the show, and I'm standing in the chair because I'm short. I can't see Jay over everybody. And he's doing whatever he's doing, and then out of nowhere, he just said what he said. I'm like looking around like he talking to somebody else. I'm like, damn, he talking to me, right? And somebody caught it on their cell phone. And I just said that when you're in the right place at the right time, God lets you know, he's got you covered, right? And this is the end of it. When I was in LA on that Sony lot, I knew Michael Jordan. That was really my man, still is. And I knew Michael Jackson. We met him in '83. We went over, hung out at his crib. But when I stood there between them two, I felt like that was my purpose, to introduce the biggest in basketball to the biggest in music, to help me understand that my redirection was just something totally different than anybody else in the whole world.
I mean, throughout the documentary, the way people talk about you, that have been in your life and that you have helped and touched is visionary. Like Mike was special, right? And in preparation for this, you know, I've been looking at like quotes and things to say, and I referred back to this old one, right? That talent hits a target no one else can hit, but genius hits a target no one else can see. did you know, could you know, did you see this was going to be Mike Bivins back when you dribbling the ball in Roxbury, that this is what your life would be?
Wow. Well, I really just wanted to be on it in the NBA to play on TV. That's
Right,
the truth. And Bobby told us we was going to be on the Soul Train, so that happened too. But I think I just was born with it. I think I see things before they happen. And I think like Nate said, like, you know, like anybody, if I see someone and we rock for a few minutes, I'll always try to leave a jewel or something inspirational from them that I feel from them, and I feel people. That's how I was able to find the shocks. You know, when you sit in the room, you got to know the difference on who's on the other side of the table. Is that a good person, a bad person, or a deflection, you know? And my discernment comes from, you know, just letting the creativity come. So I did see a lot of what I did, and I knew that once I got in the industry, I was going to create the celebrity basketball game. You know, and I knew with New Edition that whatever I liked in terms of gear or flavor, holding Boston down, I was going to stay stern on that and keep them stern on that. So there's a lot of things that, you know, I know, but I just never really been like a talker or a boaster, because I just feel like real men move in silence.
Okay. Well, but your actions speak so loud, right, that it's almost impossible for you to move in silence. So let's talk about the sound that you helped create. First, the sound of the documentary, the music. That soundtrack, when are we going to be able to, how are we going to be able to get that? Like, you putting that out, how difficult was it to get clearances for the soundtrack? Because the music had me back in my childhood.
Well, there's songs on the soundtrack that are not even in the documentary due to the timing of it coming out. I think what I learned not being at a record label no more and selling this project is that things have changed, times have changed. And, you know, even with selling the documentary, I'm trying to tell them this the time period, this what I want to do. And some of my good friends that work at record labels, they basically said to us who are of age that we don't stream music. You know, they try to tell me somebody of age doesn't stream music, like only the younger generation streams. And I told them I think that's the furthest from the truth. I think black people stream whatever they want to buy. You know, we sign up for wherever we want to swipe or whatever we want to do. So I'm not even in business with some of my friends, because some of my friends didn't think the audience of 40 years, and thank y'all, we are celebrating our 40th anniversary, y'all, that they would understand it. So I went to a distribution place and said, listen, I'm gonna show you how to target our audience, just like we do New Edition tours. We just target our audience. We stay in our community. We stay in our lane. And then we can go around and do 2 sold-out tours back to back. So come with me with the soundtrack. We're going to go to All Black and do the doc, and we're going to meet in the middle. And my thing is, I guess for 30 years being exec, I've never ruined no one's ROI.
Return on investment for anyone who, you know,
so
wasn't sure.
Yeah. So to me, that's the focus, how to be in business with someone and say, listen, we're going to win together. You know, I'm going to make sure whatever your investment is, we're going to double that up so we could do a repeat business. And that's what I was doing with the soundtrack. So the soundtrack will come out after the documentary, because just this weekend, we're going to be shooting the videos with Run from Run DMC and BBD, and then me and Johnny got a song, and then I'm going to come with the New Edition joint, and then we're going to get it right to a fever pitch, and when everyone say, yo, we locked in, then we're going to drop the date that it comes out.
Referring back to the documentary and the way they speak about you, your friends and people that have come across, and even the fans and the people that watched, there's a humanity to you that you would think the music business, as dirty and as grimy as it can be, would rob you of. How did you stay the humble, human Mike Bivins that we all see today?
Wow, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All of those girls and women right there. You know, yeah, there it is. You know, my daughters talked to me. My oldest had a conversation one day about how I get down. And my wife gets at me, you know, twice a week on how I get down. And now Nine gets at me about how I get down, and Starla and Shyla. And I think that when you can see yourself through your children, through your marriage, through your mom, through family, it humbles you. And it should humble you, because whatever goes on at work could be stressful. You know, could be wrong. I mean, it's mean money. Like the music business, like I said, ain't no different than the drug game. It's all crazy. But when you come home and you look at, you know, your DNA, you try to getting their life instead of them always trying to understand your life. And, you know, my father wasn't in my life a lot. So I'm on job training with my kids. You know what I mean? I'm doing the things that I know doesn't happen in the black household with 2 parents. And I just feel as though that's important to me. You know, I want my daughters to have a balance. You know, whatever mommy does with you, with your toenails and nails and school stuff, then daddy gonna kick something else to you. I'm gonna make sure that you're balanced out. And I think that a lot of people in the business don't know how to turn it off. I never was overly turned on from the beginning. So I never got too far away from my reality. Because remember, I'm in the group with Bobby Brown, Ricky Bell, Ralph Tresvant, Ronnie DeVoe, Johnny Gill. Them some talented brothers. I mean, let's give it up to my bros, please. That's what they do naturally in terms of singing, dancing, showmanship. They help bring me along. So I always knew my position, and that's all I wanted to do, was just to do my part and just sit in my lane and don't get too ahead of myself.
Let me get ahead of you for just a second and be back to petty, because you... New Edition, Biv DeVoe, Boyz II Men, ABC. If we do a versus with New Edition, oh yeah, with New Edition and Biv DeVoe, what side are you standing on?
You know, between us against us?
Yeah, us against us. Which side do which side will you stand on?
You got me, right?
Nah, no playing on the fence.
I don't know. I think we probably would never do it, first of all. I know Bob did it, and we was like, yo, we gonna watch you, but you're not coming through, though. And they tried to get us for something. I don't know. I just think it's so intertwined, money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think it would have to be more of a celebration than a versus. You know what I mean? Because it's too special. And then, you know, yeah, that's my answer, man.
So now, what do you listen to now? Like, what is your musical ear now? What do you, like, what still gets you excited outside of family, your beautiful family, but what gets you excited to do, to create, to be a part of, now that this documentary, you've brought this to life?
I mean, I'm a 90s guy in terms of the music. So, yeah, to the 90s, right? You know, I may go from Doggy Style to Ready to Die to, you know, Mary to Illmatic to EPMD. Like my Run, my Cool J, like I'm there. It's like, for me, the soul of that era it was just different. It was almost like the cousin to the 70s.
Okay.
You know, so I sit in that, and then that's the era that gave birth to Poison. You know, and us bringing hip hop and R&B together like that was something that was ahead of its time.
For sure.
You know, we were Jody Watley did a record, and Rakim was the rapper, and that was something different for radio. But bat da 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 bam, that was ignorant for radio. And that still sits in me. And even when I try to figure out how to reconnect with myself, I feel better when I go into my car and play my 90s music.
Okay. The basketball, the sports, right? Like it's a big part of who you are. When you are watching these new athletes, is it the same with the music? Do you go back into the 90s and reminisce about Jordan, or can you see, you know, being Boston, can you appreciate a Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and a LeBron, or do you just like, nah, these new cats, they don't have it like the guys I grew up with and wanted to be like?
Nope. I get right with it. Like, you know, before Ja got in trouble with the gun stuff, I'm watching Ja Morant. You know, I like a few kids out of Sacramento. You know, I like Brunson in New York. I do like what's at Boston. And, you know, I like, you know, LaMelo down in Charlotte. I like entertainment too. Like, I think ball is, some people just play ball, but some people have a style to it. Like Jordan had a flair. Magic Johnson had a flair. You know, some of us put in a little extra work for the flair of it, and I'm still attracted to the flair, but the ultimate goal is to win. So I try not to judge the eras because everything changed. Like, Mike is Kobe, Kobe's LeBron, and when people try to compare, that's what they go wrong. It's like, for us, you can't compare, you know, New Edition and the Jackson 5. Like, it's just things you just can't do, you know, or the Temps and the Four Tops, or the Jays. You gotta kind of let everybody be their thing. So when I watch, I move with the times. I don't fight it. You know, the Mount Rushmore is, you put yourself on the list. You sit on that.
You definitely sit on a Mount Rushmore of music. Coming from where you came from, how difficult was it growing up as a kid?
Man, my mama don't know some of these answers, man. You know, get me in trouble. I mean, you know, shit. Anybody ever lived in the projects in here? Or close to it or whatever, right? It's not what you think it is. Like my man Chera said, you don't even realize you in it until you get out of it. So, you know, how you was making your money, you know, you might have had a suit, but you might have had a different job. You might have been an undercover pharmaceutical, you know?
Right.
And I knew that, but you didn't want mama to know that, right? That's project living. That's what we call $1 out of 15 cents, right? And some of the wisest people come from the most low-income spots, too. You know what I mean? Like, you can't really judge someone's living condition to their mentality. Because the dream to get out starts while you're living in it. It's just that the blessing is if you go back and help somebody else, right? So for me, I didn't really dream to get out. I just didn't want to get hurt living in it. Because you walk in the hallway at the wrong time, you might catch one. It is what it is. But that mentality, I took that to the music business. So when I seen us taking those hits, or even we was taking hits between each other, you know, I might have was a little aggressive over there and a little aggressive over here, but I didn't know nothing else, but I had to survive, and I didn't want to fail. You know, like I tell my kids, my wife tells them, get your education. I'm a 10th grade dropout. You know, it's a tough conversation with my mom doing that, but, you know, at that time in 84, 85, this was in front of us. And I knew once I left that I didn't want to go back because I didn't fight. So that's how I feel about it, that coming from that fighter's instinct is something that everybody wish they could have, because it's the difference of winning, losing, or giving up.
We are winding down to it being about that time to close, and I want the audience to know, and all of us to really know, did you leave everything up there on the screen? Or when you were making this, did you find stuff where you were like, oh, I can't put that in the documentary? Like, was there stuff that you realized when you go back and you looked at the footage, you were like, oh, I didn't even know that. My kids can't see that. They can't see that. I can't show that. I can't show that to the people. Or did you give us Mike Bivins on that screen?
The candor was tough for my children, you know. I mean, because I'm speaking how I felt it, but I'm a dad now. But when that happened, I was their age. So imagine my daughter and someone doing something like to her at 14, 15. Like, that mentally messes you up. You know what I mean? So I had to survive through it. But this is my thing about this story. I wanted to tell the New Edition part from the sports angle, a little bit of the inside stuff. I wanted to tell BBD from the dynamic, because there's so many stories about us that's out there that when you come with another story, you don't want people to say, oh, well, what else can they show us, or what else can they say? And the basketball is really my truth, but a lot of people know me for business. But the ball is really my first love. It's the New Edition that's my redirection. So I knew in telling my story, they like, oh, man, he going to give us all the game about this and all that. I'm like, yeah, but it's going to be a game about ball infused with music. Because in order for me to be me and to leave it all up there, I want to give them some of the things they would have never known. Because when I'm in the group, I only get so much time to get my story off. So I felt like in stepping out that, you know, let me take y'all to Orchard Park and show you what it really looked like. Because it didn't look like that in the New Edition story. We filmed Orchard Park in L.A., and those projects ain't our projects, you know. And I'm happy to show all of the friends that I met through my trials, through my travels too, that all jumped to be in it. You know, Michael Jordan was the first signature on my sign-off. You know what I mean? Snoop was like, I'm not even signing it, just go ahead, Mike. You know, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all, because I want to say this on record. Most people charge you for their likeness. 99% of the people in this documentary never asked me for a dime. You know, and that means more to me than anything, because when you have that type of talent, those type of stars and managers and agents and 3 cell phones they got, you can't really get to who you got to get to. But when someone takes the time out like Jigga did on the 4th of July and signed the paper on the holiday, I take that to heart, man. That means everything.
Well, celebrities might charge most people, but Mike Bivins is definitely not most people. The hustle of @617 Mike Biv, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For doing this.
Thank y'all.
For what you created and accomplished, for giving the world incredible music. You changed the world, man. You changed the world.
Hey, Sagan, you know, you pretty cool yourself, man. let me just say this, because I know people want to go party. Just thank y'all. You know, I'm gonna probably have a moment tonight about the sound, because, you know, I like to do things in quality. But the one thing is, I felt like we were in the living room today, I saw something. Somebody gonna get what they got to get from me tonight on what I had to sit through out that top row listening. But I know God put us here for a reason. It's my 55th, so I'm gonna switch from this and I'm gonna party with my family. And I want y'all to enjoy the rest of the festival. And thank you, Peggy, and your team for what you do for Boston. And that Zoom call yesterday was very colorful. And I just want to say, keep the colors coming because we got things to do, all right? Thank y'all. God bless and have a good night.
All right, thank you.